Hello children, hope you all are in the best of health and spirit. So let's begin our today's class. Now we are in the story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit in Block 11. So from the last class, I have read out the paragraph up to page number 8. Am I right children? Okay, so let's continue the story from the page number 9. From the first paragraph. Very quietly, Peter got off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go, along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Mr. M.C. Grigor caught sight of him at the corner. But Peter didn't care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the woods outside the garden. So what happened here? Yes, Peter got off the wheelbarrow. What do you mean by the word got off? Yes, he jumped out from the wheelbarrow and started running. He took all his strength for running, right? But Mr. M.C. Grigor saw him at the corner. But Peter didn't care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe as he come to the gate by squeezing. At the same how he squeezed underneath the gate and he come out from the garden. And let's see the next paragraph. Mr. M.C. Grigor hung up the little jacket and the shoes as the scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running nor looked behind him until he got home to the big tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a week. What happened, children? Yes, at last Peter came his home. He reached his home. Then here you can see the word scarecrow. Scarecrow. What do you mean by the word scarecrow? Yes, in this glossary part you can see the meaning. It is an object in the shape of a human placed in a field to frighten away the birds. As you can see here in this picture, you may have seen in your area like this creature. It is using for frightening the blackbirds. Most of the time we can see in the fields. Okay, so here what Mr. Grigor done? Yes, he hung up the little jacket and the shoes as a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running nor looked behind him. See children, here you can see the word nor. Did you remember this word N-O-R? Nor? Where we learn this word? Yes, it is we learn in the conjunction, in the connecting word. So that time I have told this word we will use for saying about the negative sentence. It is giving the negative meaning. So what happened here? Peter never stopped running nor looked behind him. That means it is giving the negative meaning. He never, nor looked means he never looked behind him. Okay, until he got home to the big tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole. And what his mother is doing? Yes, she was very busy in cooking. But that time also she was wondered about something. What is it? Yes, because our Peter's jacket and shoes are missing. That is why his mother was wondered. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second time that he lost his little jacket and pair of shoes in a week. So this is not for the first time that he is losing this jacket and shoes. Okay, so let's see what will happen next. So children, let's take the next page, page number 10. The last paragraph. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some tea for him. Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail had bread, milk and blackberries for supper. Happy to be safe at home with his mother, Peter promised himself that he would never be naughty and he would definitely never be returning to Mr. M.C. Gregor's garden ever again. What happened here? Yes, Peter Rabbit promised his mother that he would never be naughty, and also he promised his mother that he never be returning to Mr. M.C. Gregor's garden. Okay children, so this is the story. It is a funny story, isn't it? Yes. So children, here you can see so many new words with its meaning in this glossary part. So what you have to do? Yes, you just learn all this new word spelling and also its meaning. And also one more thing I want to tell you is you have to read the story for 2 or 3 times per day. Okay, so hope you understand the story. So here in this practice question from the last class I have given only 3 questions. So for the remaining question you can complete. Okay, B. Why did Peter Rabbit decide never to go into Mr. M.C. Gregor's garden again? And C. What did Peter Rabbit ask the mouse and why? So these answers you have to find out from the story and write it in your notebook. Okay. So now let's learn something about fiction and non-fiction. Children, you know about fiction? What do you mean by the word fiction? Right, I have already told you in the previous class. Fiction means it is not real. Means it is an unreal story. That is meant by this fiction. Okay, and we will read this type of story to get entertainment. But remember one thing, this fiction story sometimes real or sometimes it is unreal. So fiction story we can say that sometimes it is realistic but sometimes it is fake. Okay, but in the case of unfiction story, what do you mean by this term unfiction? That means it is the real story. It is the true story. The true facts we can see in this non-fictional stories. Okay, and also we will read these type of stories for getting the information. So we can say that this unfiction story is an informative story. Okay, this is the main difference about this fiction and non-fiction stories. Fiction means not real. It is an unreal story, but non-fiction means that is the true story. That is the real story. So we have learned a realistic fiction in our English reader book. Did you remember it? Which story it is realistic fiction? Yes, it is the magic spell. So this is about fiction and non-fiction. Okay, now let's discuss about the main elements of a fiction. Fiction means not real, unreal. Okay, don't forget this term. Fiction means unreal. It is not a real story. Okay, so can you tell me the main elements of the story? Yes, that we learn like settings, characters, beginning, middle and end. These all were the main elements of the story. Okay, then let's come to this fictional stories. Can you tell me the main elements of this fictional story? Yes, let's see that. The characters, settings, problem, rising action, climax and the solution. So these are the main elements of a fictional story. So let's see the first element, character. What do you mean by the word character? Yes, it is a familiar word for us. Characters means the peoples who are in the play. Those who are in the play is called characters. And what about setting? Yes, setting means where the story is happening or where the story takes place. That is meant by this setting. And what do you mean by the term problem? Yes, we know that every story there is a problem. We can see a problem in every story. So this is meant by this problem. And rising action. It is a new word for us. Am I right? So what do you mean by the term rising action? Something is rising here. What it may be? Yes, it is the problem. So where the problem is rising, that is meant by this rising action. Or in other way, we can say that the critical situation of the problem. Okay, the critical nature of the problem. That is meant by this rising action. And climax. Yes, it is the last part of the story. We can see in movies, right? Okay, then the last one is conclusion. What do you mean by the word conclusion? Yes, it means the end part of the story. The end of the story is called conclusion. So these are the important elements of a fictional story. Fiction means it is not a real one. Okay, so now children, let's take out your workbook, page number 15. There are some questions are waiting for you. So after completing this, you will get the correct idea about these elements. Okay, so let's read the first one. Match the elements of a story to the details of the tale of Peter Rabbit. So with the help of this story, the tale of Peter Rabbit, we have to find out who are the characters, what is the settings, what is the problem. Okay, so let's see this. There are some details are given. So according to the story details, you have to find out the 6 main elements. So see, here it is given like characters, settings, problem, rising action, climax and conclusion. So you have to find out first the characters. Who are the characters? Yes, it is Peter, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, their mother and Mr. MC Grigger. So this is how you can do this. Okay. Then settings. What is the setting of the story? Yes, it is Mr. MC Grigger's garden. And see, what's the problem? What's the problem here in the story? Yes, the problem is the second one. He was chased around a garden into a tool shed. Then he got out through a window and stood near a door. So this is the problem, right? Then we have to find out what is the rising action. Means the critical situation of the problem. So what is it? Yes, it is Mr. MC Grigger found Peter while he was trying to eat the cucumber in his garden and chase him around his garden to get rid of him. Okay, this is the rising action. And E, climax. What is the climax? What is the last part of the story? Yes, at the last part of the story, we have seen that he jumped into the bushes and then climbed onto a wheelbarrow. Next, he jumped off the wheelbarrow, ran quickly and slipped beneath the gate to safely. This is the last part. And what is the conclusion? How can we conclude the story? Yes, it is the first one. Peter made it home safely and promised himself that he would never be naughty again. Right? So children, while reading this story, it will be more clear to you. Who are the characters? What is the settings? What is the problem in the story? And what about the rising action? And how it will end. And second one, use the elements of the story above to write a summary. So by using these 6 elements, you have to make the summary of the story. What do you mean by summary? Yes, it is the short form of a story. So by using these 6 elements, you can make the summary. And 3, write one difference between fiction and non-fiction story. Yes, we discussed fiction. It is not a real story. It's an unreal story. Right? But what about non-fiction? Yes, it is the true story. It is the real story. This is how you can write any difference. We will read the fiction stories for getting the entertainment for us. But what about this non-fiction story? Yes, we will read that story for getting information. That is why we can call this non-fiction story as an informative story. Okay children, so hope you clear this. Then let's discuss one more simple topic. It is about the senses. Did you remember the word senses? From your KG onwards, you have learned about this word. 5 senses, 5 sense organs. Did you remember it? Which are the 5 senses? Yes, eyes, nose, ears, then your tongue and also the skin. So for what we are using our eyes? Yes, eyes for sight, nose for smell, ears to hear, tongue to taste, and also the skin to touch or skin to feel. Did you remember this? Yes. Okay, so this is about this 5 sense organs. So children, in the story, can you find out anything related to those 5 senses? Okay, for this, let's take out your English reader book. In the story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, can you find out anything related to the sight? Yes, from the page number 9, you can see the first paragraph. You can see the first paragraph. The lines like, Mr. M.C. Grigor caught sight of him at the corner. See, this is something related to the sight, right? Because M.C. Grigor saw him. So this is related about the sight. But what about nose? Is there anything related to smell? No, right? There we cannot find anything like smell. Then what about here? Yes, here in the story, we have read, about some sounds. Did you remember it? Yes, take out the page number 8. There you can see. He went back to the tool shed when suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Hoe means it is a tool like this. Scratch, 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 scratch. Yes, it is something related to the sound. Right. So this is about heard. And what about tongue? Taste. Is there anything related to this taste? Yes, see the page number 6. The paragraph like, first he ate some lettuce and some French beans, and then he ate some radish. Somehow it is related to the taste. Okay, then what about the last one? Skin for touch or feel? Yes, here after entering this M.C. Grigor's garden, we saw the feeling of the rabbit. Yes, so we can take all that sentences under this feeling. Which are they? Yes, here in this page number 7 of your book, the first paragraph, Peter was dreadfully scared. Yes, Peter was very much scared. That's scared. It is related to the feeling. And one more sentence we can take it under this feeling. From the second paragraph, Peter shed big tears and his sobs were overheard by some friendly birds. Right? It is telling about the crying. How much he is crying. Yes, that sobs means stopping and crying. And overheard, I have told you another word overheard is if you are speaking a matter to your friend and if somebody is hearing that without the permission of you, that is meant by this overheard. Okay, so this Peter shed big tears and his sobs were overheard by some friendly birds. That comes under the sense feeling. Okay, so this is about this senses. It is a very simple topic. So children, we have discussed about this 5 senses like seen, then smelt, heard, taste and also felt. So these are the 5 senses. So now let's take the page number 16, sensory details. Here what you have to do? Yes, there is some sentences are given. So according to that sentence, you have to find out which sense it has. Okay, see the first one, A. Radha went to the market and noticed that the green brinjal sack was kept on the top of the carrot sack. She also saw many shopkeepers standing outside their shops, calling out the prices of the vegetables. In the distance, she noticed a fish stall selling all kinds of fish. So, what sense it has? Yes, it is seen because Radha is watching everything. Okay, then B. As Ragesh went to sleep, he heard the thunder and crawled under the sheets. He tried to sleep, but suddenly the whistling sound of the wind got louder, making Ragesh cry and run to his mother. Yes, it is related to the sound. So we can write heard. And see, Sandeep was scared to go to school because he hadn't completed his homework. So he got up in the morning and complained of a stomach ache. His mother didn't feel sorry for him and knew the real reason. She was angry with him for lying and asked him to get ready for the school. Yes, felt. And D. Priya went to Shopper's Stop to buy a perfume for herself. As she walked by, she could smell flowers. She could smell flowers because she was in the floral section of the perfume department. Yes, smelt. And the last one, Nantha went for a walk in the park. After walking, she usually bought herself a tender coconut. She loved the taste of fresh, light coconut water. Sometimes she also went to Juice Junction and asked for their sweet lime or orange juice, as she loved their flavors. This is about taste. So children, this is how you can complete. And also the second one, give one example from the story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, for the following sentences that we have already discussed now. Likewise, you have to find out these 5 sentences, 5 simple sentences from the story and write it here on this page number 16. And also children, in your practice questions, you have to complete this question number 2nd and 4. Okay, this third question you don't want to do. Let's skip that. So the second one, make sentences with these words. So some new words are given. You have to make the sentences with those words. And the fourth one, read the story and answer question A to C. So here in this question, you have to do this A1 only. Okay, the option A only you can write. That one is identify the introduction, characters, setting, problem, rising action, climax and conclusion. This one only you can write from this paragraph. Okay, so this is all about today's class. So what we have learned from today's class? Yes, we have learned about what is fiction, what is non-fiction, and also about the sensory details. The details which is related to the senses. These 5 senses that is meant by this sensory details. Which are they? Yes, seen, smelt, heard, taste, and also this felt, about this feeling. Okay, so hope you clear this, and if there is any doubt regarding these topics, at any time you can contact me. I'll be with you. Okay, so what you have to do after this class is you have to read the story for at least 2 or 3 times. Okay, and write all the new words and also learn its spelling and also its meaning. So this is only for today. We'll meet in the next class. Have a nice day.